Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by and seeing what I'm up to today. Got another information by Kevin here. This was a couple hours after the other one. So this is about, I'm going to say 17, 18 hours ago.
Hey everyone, Kevin here. This is breaking from just minutes ago.
Donald Trump just finished his interview with ABC's David Muir, and I'm going to give you a full breakdown of what was said in that interview. Of course, I recommend you watch the entire 15-20 minute interview yourself, but I'm going to give you a quick rundown right now. So we started off by echoing that right now, death toll over 70K, 2,200 folks have died within the last 24 hours. At the same time, we're starting to see our country reopen. And so the question kind of started with, hey, look, your biggest decision was reopening the economy. Tell us about that. Donald Trump goes into the decision to close was actually the biggest. We had the greatest economy, the best numbers, the best employment, but now we've had to close down and the people want to get back to work. We've kind of heard him echo this, obviously, over the last few weeks quite a bit. And so the interviewer, David, asks a very pointed question. How much death and suffering are you willing to accept? And is that the reality? This is where Donald Trump responds and says it's possible there will be some because you won't be locked in an apartment or a house, but at the same time, we'll be social distancing, we'll be washing our hands, but we have to get back to work. And that's Trump's overarching message. He argues that the last administration didn't really leave us with anything to prepare. Now, when asked, well, why didn't you restock with the 3 years you had before this pandemic? Trump says, well, there were a lot of other distractions going on, a lot of wasted time on Russia, Ukraine, the impeachment. And so then the interviewer goes on and says, hey, how much is a human life worth? And this is right before we start getting into some mention about stimulus and the current packages going on. So how much is a human life worth? And this is where we hear Donald Trump's classic fire argument that, look, you know what? We're going to put out the embers. We're going to put out the little fires. There might be some big fires, but we're going to deal with those. And this is where the reporter asks, well, we've just had 2 studies come out, the ones a lot of us have been hearing about, one from Johns Hopkins that the death rate could double if we're not careful, and one from the University of Washington saying we could have up to 135,000 Americans dead by August. This is where Donald Trump kind of talks down the models and says, look, we've had models that have had, worse scenarios and better scenarios, and basically the models have been wrong. But he does believe that he's always felt that the deaths would be somewhere between 60 to 70,000, and as horrible as it sounds, as we might be going up to 75 to 80,000. He sort of compared this to filling a Yankee Stadium full of folks who have, passed away, and then he says, quote, but it's probable it's going to be higher than that. Then we talk a little bit about vaccination, and the question is, how can you be convinced we'll have a vaccine by the end of the year? And Trump says we can't be convinced, but this was interesting in my opinion. He says he receives daily updates from companies like Johnson & Johnson and Oxford, and says, quote, they're doing really great. Another quote, I think we have a really good shot of having something really substantial, essentially by the end of the year. Now, then the reporter goes into, look, a lot of people are experiencing a tremendous hurt right now. We've got 30 million unemployed, 15 to 19% unemployment figures are kind of what we're expecting. That's what we're hearing. That's almost 1 in 5 Americans out of work. And so Donald Trump starts with, look, even the Democrats aren't blaming me for that, but we are going back to work right now. The third quarter will be the transition quarter, which then the reporter, in my opinion, this was a really good snapback right here. He says, I think a lot of people share that hope, but a lot of us can't wait to, or can't afford to wait another quarter. Like, we need to be able to put food on our plate tonight. Great counter response question there. And to that, Trump says, look, we've done a lot. And this is the more important stuff. So pay close attention to these specific words. And these are Donald Trump's words in sort of different little quotes I wrote down. We've done a lot for them. Small businesses, PPP, paycheck protection, small businesses, we've given them billions. We've done a lot. $2 trillion, close to $3 trillion. Approved. We'll probably do more. It's a stimulus to keep people employed, to keep businesses open. So right here, we've got not like the best bombshell that we want to hear, and it's actually a softening from what we heard from Donald Trump's last interview over the weekend, the town hall at the Lincoln Memorial with Fox News. He said, we will do more, and this has now turned into we will probably do more. And again, this is on the ABC live interview with David Muir from May 5th here. Now, continuing on. Donald Trump was asked, what about the elections coming up? You said something, initially, they start talking about the numbers and how initially Donald Trump said there were 15 cases and it was go to 0. And Donald Trump kind of goes, look, the reason our cases are going up is because we're doing way more testing than other countries. This kind of gets into politics. The reporter then goes into asking, hey, well, was this an intelligence failure? And Trump says, basically, look, we did what we could. We closed the border. We banned people coming in from China. And ultimately that he wants to be a cheerleader for the country. In response to the 70,000 Americans whose lives have already been lost, Donald Trump wants to say that I love you. We're trying to protect people over 60. I just want to say to the people who have lost family and just made it, that we love you, we're with you. Now, I am going to shorten his condolences a little bit here. He did say more, but then he does say, next year, our economy is going to be raging. It's going to be so good, and no one is taking it harder than me. I have to get this enemy defeated. He alluded to losing sleep at night over this. And at that point, the interview closed out. Some of the reporters afterwards sort of echoed, saying there are some significant parts in this. They specifically pointed out that Trump seems to be laser focused on the economy, that the states are going to be the ones responsible for the process of reopening, not necessarily Trump. Trump seems to be focused again on the economy. And they echoed that, yes, it does seem clear that Donald Trump is going to move forward with reopening, even though there's going to be lives that will be lost. Well, as is usual, if any of this makes you nervous, make sure to go down to the links below, sign up for a life insurance. It takes you 5 minutes to do from your phone. At the same time, you could spend another 5 minutes and get two
free stocks. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, guys, I'm not interested in spending money that I don't have. I don't even have my first stimulus. You guys take it easy. Stay safe. And like, subscribe, and share. Thank you much.